which deals with everything from self-flagellation to suicide bombing to the Kama Sutra and so forth. The very first time I taught the course, the bookstore sold out of the Kama Sutra before the students could buy it. And if you, in case of you have ever read it, you know that they probably ended up being kind of disappointed because it isn't all that special. I also, about 4 years, my brother calls this my sin-fighting outfit. Also a pastor at Squires Memorial Presbyterian Church, small Presbyterian church in Norfolk. And for those of you who this last Sunday or the Sunday before had a party, you know who it is, right? Yeah, it was our Sunday school class. We all had put on the John Calvin masks just to, although I showed this to a friend of mine and he said, it looks like the movie Scream. So I showed it to another friend who said it looked like Clanners. So that's John Calvin, just kind of bleached out. The two definitions of Christianity. I want to start by trying to define Christianity, realizing the incredible challenges of that. A number of years ago, it was about 15 to 20 years ago, I went to a place called New Heritage USA, and some of you are familiar with it. It's in South Carolina, and I was down in Charlottesville, Charlotte. Thank you, thanks. I was down in Charlotte and just wanted to go check this place out. It used to be called Heritage USA. And when it was called Heritage USA, it was run by the Bakers. And when I went, it was New Heritage USA. And twice I accidentally referred to it as Heritage USA. And people said to me, no, it's New Heritage USA. So I went to New Heritage USA. It's interesting because when you drive in, it says America's Premier Christian Resort. When you drove in, it said America's Premier Christian Resort. And I thought to myself, my brother is well known in marketing, and I'm always intrigued by marketing for churches and everything else. But when I read that, I thought, what kind of demographic group are you losing here? We're in South Carolina. I mean, are Buddhists going to be offended by this and not come? No, so you can call yourself that, and there's like virtually no cost referring to yourself as America's Premier Christian Resort. But I went to the front gate, a welcome area, and I said, hey, what makes this a Christian resort? And some of you have heard this in another context. The person who was working there said, oh, there's absolutely no smoking or drinking allowed. I said, anything else? And they said, yeah, we have a chapel. Okay. As you drove around, about every third of a mile, maybe every quarter of a mile, there's signs on the road that say, remember, this is a Christian resort. There's absolutely no smoking or drinking allowed. At the end of the day, I went to the Heritage Hotel, which was the gem in the crown of Jim Bakker's life. And you just walk in, this is very beautiful. I went to the front desk because I wanted to know about this place, and I said, is there anything distinctively Christian about the rooms? And the person who's working at the desk said, well, yes, there's absolutely no smoking or drinking. And that was my reaction. That was my reaction. And I said, I've been hearing that all day. Is there anything else? And then another person came up from behind the desk who was listening and said, well, yes, there's a Bible in every room. And I laughed at that too. And I said, if you go to almost any hotel, you're going to get Gideons that put a Bible in every room. And they said, well, no, this is the difference. As soon as you walk into our room, it's on a lectern and it's open. So as soon as you enter the room, you see an open Bible. And yeah, I hope it isn't open to what 1 Timothy 5:23, when Paul is writing to Timothy and he says, Timothy's been sick. And Paul says, no longer drink only water, but use a little wine for your stomach. So, going to cause theological problems. What does it mean to be Christian? No smoking or drinking. About 15 years ago, I was in a series of archaeological expeditions in northern Jordan, near Jordan, with a school called Yarmouk University, in conjunction with a school called Tübingen University in Germany. And when I was on that, I wanted to meet some other Christians. I wanted to meet some Christians in Jordan. I had a friend on the dig. His name was Muhammad. And I mean, it's the most common name in the world, so odds are that his name was Muhammad, which is kind of like if you don't know someone here today, if you see them ahead of you, just say Muhammad, and they may turn because it's the most common name in the world. And his English was not good. My Arabic was limited to things related to the archaeological dig, so I could say to him, bring me a trowel or something, and he'd respond. But he said he would introduce me to some Christians. And so one day on a Friday, which was our day off, we met. and in Irbid, again, a town in northern Jordan. And we started walking, and I said, "Are we going to a church?" And he said, "No." And I thought, maybe he doesn't know what that word means. Because sometimes that's a challenge, vocabulary. So I said, "Are we going to a cathedral?" And he said, "No." I said, "Are we going to a chapel?" He said, "No." I said, "Are we going to meet some Christians?" He said, "Yes." We're walking. I said, "Are they friends of yours?" He said, "No." I said, "Are they friends of yours?" He said, "No." I said, "Are they acquaintances of yours?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Are we going to meet some Christians?" And he said, "Yes." And we went to the town square. This is back in 85. We went to the town square, and all of a sudden he pointed to a store, and he said, "There are your Christians." What kind of store? Liquor store. Yeah, liquor store. There wasn't much that he knew about Christianity, but he did know that not only did Christians drink alcohol, Muslims did not, but they even did something in their rituals with alcohol. So what does it mean to be Christian? That we don't drink and smoke, or that we do drink? You only have those choices. I put down here a Rorschach test, just to kind of get our minds going. What's a Rorschach test? Yeah, an ink blot test. And some of you are familiar with this. You see an ink blot, and you're supposed to say the first thing that comes to mind. I want to do that with the word Christianity. Rorschach test. Rorschach test you can respond to in a variety of different ways. You're supposed to say the first thing that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answer. Emo Phillips, he says, I go to the psychologist. He says, "Emo, what does this ink blot look like to you?" I said, "It's kind of embarrassing." He said, "Emo, everyone sees something, so don't be embarrassed. Tell me what the ink blot looks like to you." I said, "Well, to me it looks like standard pattern number 3 in the Rorschach series to test obsessive compulsiveness." And he gets kind of depressed. I said, "Okay, it's a butterfly." And he cheers up. He said, "What does this ink blot look like?" I said, "It looks like a horrible, ugly blob of pure evil that sucks the souls of man into a vortex of sin and degradation." He said, "No, the ink blot's over there. That's a photo of my wife you're looking at." Oh, I said, "Was I far off?" He said, "No, that's the sad part." The planet of ink blot beings, hideous monsters, exotic flowers. What do we think of? I apologize. When we get the word Christianity, what are the first things that come to mind? No right or wrong answers. Resurrection. Wrong. No, it's everything. Yeah, no, it's resurrection. What else? Jesus' cross. What else? Yes. Belief. Belief's good. What else? Faith. Baptism, hope. Crucifixion, salvation. I'm so sorry? Christ.
Pushy.
Pushy? Good. Trinity. I was going to say, the good thing about starting to go deaf is that I hear all sorts of things that you don't intend. It's really kind of, it's kind of nice in some way. Other things? Lord's Supper. The cross. Love. Why did it take a few minutes before we got to that? Yeah, good, thank you. Other things?
Western civilization.
Western civilization, which, as we heard earlier, that statistic is